Mandeville, went to Mandeville High, went to LSU, once for biological engineering and once for law school. Graduated at the top of my class in both, and I joined the Foreign Service of the U.S. Department of State. Actually moved to Washington, and then Germany, and then the Republic of Georgia. It was a little Soviet country south of Russia. Lived there spent 7 years in the Foreign Service, actually. Ended up coming back to Washington and doing another 2 years in Washington, and kind of going around the world, working in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan for most of that 2 years. We were supposed to move to Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, actually. I told my wife if I had the opportunity to come back to Louisiana, I would. I ended up coming back for a wedding, and then I was able to find a job back in Louisiana, came back home, and then they had an open seat to run for state rep, and so I ran for it. Came back in 2017, ran for it in 2019, got elected, and now, I guess some of these problems are my problems now. I can't blame everybody else, but I've been in the legislature then since 2019. I've done a lot to kind of tackle, I would say, the bigger issues in Louisiana. I don't like, just naming bridges or whatever. That's not really what we need. We got a lot of other people in the legislature who can rename bridges. The truth is, this is a statement I like to make, give people kind of perspective. If Louisiana was just average, we would all live 4 years longer and get a 33% raise. So we were just average in the country, we'd all live 4 years longer and get a 33% raise. So that gives you kind of a scope of what kind of problems we have here, right? It's a crazy thing, especially when you consider, if you drive across the border into Texas, you actually get that back. 3.5 years of your life and basically a third of your income increase. So it's a huge opportunity that Louisiana has had for a really long time. One of the things I like to point out is, when do you think the last time Louisiana added a congressional seat? When was the last time we actually grew faster than the rest of the country? A lot of people guess maybe 1970, something like that. It was actually 1910. 1910 was the last time that we actually added a congressional seat. So it was the last time we grew faster than the rest of the country. And so really the problems that we have gone on been here for a long time. A lot of it is, I think, based on our structure of how we raise money, how we spend money. And a lot of that goes back to Huey Long. Huey Long said, hey, look, guys, and you guys know this in local government better than anybody else. Huey Long said, hey, look, I don't want any local government, I don't want any business in Louisiana being able to do anything unless you come down to the Capitol and kiss the ring. And he set that up about 100 years ago, and we've been stuck ever since then. Huey Long created the income tax, he created the corporate income tax, and he created a lot of the problems that we have. And so one of the things when I looked at it and I said, well, how do we actually move Louisiana forward? How do we get that 4 years of our lives back? How do we get that 33% raise? I think you got to look at what other states are doing successfully. When you look at states like Texas and Florida, they both grew 6 times faster than us in the last 10 years. 6 times faster. The state of Texas added basically the entire population of Louisiana just in the last 10 years. And so I think it's time that we got to do something different. One of the bills that I brought was to get rid of the income tax and just completely restructure the tax code. And what that does is it really gives local governments the ability to solve your own problems. You don't have to go and call your rep and say, hey, we need money to fix that bridge. Hey, we need money to fix that school. Hey, we need money to pay the cops, that kind of thing. It's a system where local governments can solve their own problems. That's what Texas has. That's what Florida has. That's what Tennessee has. That's why they're so successful. And so that's one of the things I fought for really hard in the legislature. I'll tell you the second thing is education. So you might be able to tell, but I'm a little bit younger maybe than your average politician in Baton Rouge. So I have 3 boys. One's 8. What are they? 9? No, they're 9, 7, and 4 now. And so education is something that really is really important to me and my wife. My kids go to public school down in Mandeville. It's a good school, actually. I went there too. At the same time, I can see the struggles and the challenges. If we don't have a good education system, it's really a foundational problem here. We're not going to get good companies. We're not going to get people good jobs. We're not going to get people college degrees if, for example, they don't know how to read. That has been a big thing that I fought for in the legislature last year, was a bunch of bills on trying to improve literacy in elementary school. It's really one of those fundamental things. If you can either teach kids how to read or you can build more jails. That's basically what it breaks down to. And so we really need to focus on that as an issue. Mississippi, who I know is right down the street from y'all, Mississippi in 2013 was 49th in the country in 4th grade literacy, right? And they passed some bills, and as a result of those bills now they're 21st in the country, blew us out of sight. So we were 48th, and now we're 41st, basically because the rest of the country kind of sank with COVID. But it's still a big struggle for us to teach kids how to read. About half of our 4th graders can't read on grade level. And so I brought some bills copied off of Mississippi. I brought some last year. 2 of them passed, 1 of them died in the Senate. And so I'm going to bring that bill again this year. It basically says if you can't read in 3rd grade, we're going to hold you back. We're going to give you extra tutoring so that you learn how to read before we pass you forward. In reality, you're going to get held back in 3rd grade, or you're going to be held back for the rest of your life. That's really the choice you have to make. this bill really made a big difference in Mississippi, which is a state very similar to us, and I think it made big changes here. So with that, I'd appreciate it. I appreciate your support. I don't want to hold up your meeting at all, but if you need anything, you can find me online. On my website, it's nelson4la.com. And then also, sorry, Nelson4, NELSONFORLA.com. And also on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff if you want to look at it. But I appreciate it. If you need anything, please reach out. We'll get back to you. And thank you for having me, and good luck with your meeting. Happy Valentine's Day.